Hello!
It's Lemon Knife again.
Yes,
I'm
did
Mia.
you miss us? I'm John.
And we're Lemon Knife, as we covered.
Yes.
And we are back with more of our top albums, and this time it's the top 10.
And Mia, why don't you start us off?
Oh, right, because you started last time. My first one is Boston's self-titled album, which really, we've been saying this for a while, you could just listen to all of Boston by listening to Boston's first album. I will never stop raving about this album. It's such high quality, vocalist is like, Brad Delp, really needs to be given more credit for one thing.
I'm surprised it's above the Cars.
I was debating that, but I think just Boston kind of shaped me a little more anyway. Those big harmonies, the guitar tones that I think, self-built amps by Tom Scholz, and I think this is really just made by the two of them, except for, the guys coming in for Foreplay Long Time, I think. And so just knowing that, this is made in some dude's basement, and it,
Yes.
smash success.
And
far
they got
and away
free
the best.
money because they had to pretend they were hiring a bunch of musicians.
Exactly,
to play on it,
and then they
took
just
the money and,
and used it for the two of them.
themselves.
Yeah, and it's just astonishing given that's the story, and just amazing songs pretty much all the way through. So go Boston.
All right, my number 10 is the first metal album I ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember I put it on my CD player back in that day, and
I
when
remember
it
those
went
days.
for a walk with it, and it literally, it sounds cliche, but it literally felt like I just had a ton of caffeine or whatever, because it was just so much faster and more intense than the other things I had heard. And it is still a great album. So my number 10 is Powerslave by Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot of albums
course.
that'll be in close contention for this. Somewhere in Time, Number of the Beast, Seventh Son, Dance of the Dead, Dance of Death. But this is I think my favorite. It's got that Powerslave, which is great. 2 Minutes to Midnight, which is my favorite song of theirs. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which is a long song that they pull off well. And Flash of the Blade, just great album.
I think that number and that Number of the Beast and Seventh Son are probably close to tied for my top Iron Maiden album. And if we expanded this once again, I'm sure at least one would have shown up. So good choice. Okay, number 9, band that's always in close in contention.
Oh boy, is this going to be Day at the Races?
Oh God, no. No, band, not album. John has a irrational hatred for A Day at the Races.
But the lover boy.
And really just that album that's that irrational.
Little lover boy.
I don't know how you'd rather hear Hot Space than A Day at the Races. I don't understand. No, I'm talking about Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I know it's a cliche to pick for best Pink Floyd album, but it's their best album. It's just everything is chock full, and once again an adventurous album, and once again just incredible songwriting, musicianship all the way around, and just time and brain damage eclipse, brain eclipse, On the Run, Breathe, all of those are found here. Us and Them,
over and over again.
Us, no, that's Us and
I
Them.
could definitely listen to this if I was asleep at the time. I think it would be really good.
Asleep at the No, you're an Animals guy, right?
I don't, not really.
You just don't like Floyd.
No.
I think is the point you're trying to make.
All right.
Really the only band
I can't argue that it's a great album.
Really the only band we have this much disagreement on, I think.
All right, are you ready for a wild card pick, Mia?
I'm ready.
My number 9 is All Day by Girl Talk.
Oh, interesting.
And so this is just an album of all mashups by Girl Talk. There was a period of a year or two where I was really into mashups, and I was making mashups and listening to Girl Talk almost every day. So as a remnant of that, I got to have this on here, and this Feed the Animals is almost as great. I love the way he forges things together really well, where it's almost always a kind of classic rock riff or classic pop song riff or part combined with a weird hip hop or pop vocal that somehow merges perfectly with it.
He's a brilliant mashup maker.
Transitions go together so well. There's so many little fills or things thrown in that you would never be able to figure out unless you went to his website.
There's the other album.
Oh, Feeding the Animals.
All right. I don't know why Animals gives thumbs up. Good choice. Interesting choice. All right, number 8, a cliched band, but the album is great.
Oh, NSYNC? Is that even the right band? Nicholas Shade?
Rubber Soul by the Beatles.
Okay.
Not even close.
That's not a Nicholas Shade album.
No, but Rubber Soul, definitely my favorite Beatles album, and I don't know how many people agree with me on that. I mean, they have like a good amount of great albums. I know you do. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people will pick like Sgt. Pepper's or which, or Abbey Road or Revolver, which by the way are like also great albums. But this one is the one that left its mark on me. It's that perfect period of the Beatles, in my opinion, where they've come away from like the manic early stuff, but then they haven't gone to the super experimental, we're all on drugs, White Album era.
If it just had I wish they just kept that kind of guitar tone and that sound, and maybe had less songs like Run For Your Life or My Michelle on it.
Yeah, I like My Michelle.
Très mal ensemble.
Very Bad Together?
Well, it could just be an ensemble, right? I don't know. I should stop picking on your choice.
Don't worry, I've got that. We always do this. I'm fine. It's fine.
I guess I should stop picking on your choice. So I guess I've just had enough coffee that I'm an excitable boy. By Warren Zevon. All right, so that's another tough choice between two. Is self-titled is also amazing, but this one has kind of more of a full sound. It's got some piano, like Rollin' the Headless Thompson Gunner, one of his best piano ballads. It's got one of his best rockin' riffs with Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Oh yeah.
It's got a full-on disco funk song with Nighttime in the Switchin' Yard. It's just really great, really eclectic, fantastic album.
Yeah, I mean, you introduced me to Zevon. It's definitely been a privilege to discover his work, and definitely I feel bad for sleeping on him, as the kids say these days, sleeping on Zevon.
Is that sleeping on Zevon?
Yeah, y'all sleeping on.
Y'all sleeping on Zevon.
Y'all sleeping on Zevon. That's the.
If somebody misses something, they say, "Man, you've been sleeping on Zevon."
That's gonna be the next greatest hits compilation. Y'all sleeping on Zevon. The greatest hits we didn't already cover. Anyway, my next album is Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. I think Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young are a fabulous group. We're a fabulous group, I guess, but harmonies like really no other band. Songwriting that is interesting and certainly unflinchingly political. And I think this album is just the most interesting of theirs, and just the best sounding, the one I most want to listen to. Has some of my favorite songs by them on it. It's some of my favorite songs ever, so I really
What's
really
your
like the
favorite
song.
on it?
Oh, goodness, what is my favorite on it? Maybe... Carry On, I think. Oh, I think I even put that on my top 100. No, it's not Come Sail Away. Or Kansas.
All right, my number 7 is Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Couldn't resist the joke. My number 7 is Boys and Girls in America by The Hold Steady.
Right. Yes, completely the same band.
Very similar band.
By the time we got to Woodstock,
decade.
you taught your children. Teach
wooden
your children
ships.
well.
Charlemagne was on the wooden ships. And this is one instance where a band kind of smooths out the edges of their sound a little and makes it a little more accessible, and it pays off greatly. Because I think I love this album and their one right before it equally, but then this made them much bigger of a success, and this has just so many great songs on it. Because it keeps kind of his eclectic vocal delivery. It keeps these great guitar riffs while it's making kind of the songs a little catchier, a little more to the point. Stuck Between Stations, one of the all-time great album openers. He even gets kind of a power ballad in with First Night. Massive Nights is one of their all-time live staples. Just great album.
Yeah, I think if the rest of the albums are Craig Finn singing in a bar, then this one is Craig Finn singing in a classier...
a gin joint.
A gin joint. A cocktail establishment. A speakeasy.
Hello, Violet Hour. This next song's about Hallelujah.
But it's a great album, I agree. All right, number 6. I always have to thank my mom for this one because I remember growing up with this stuff. Every Picture Tells a Story by Rodda Boy. I mean,
This album impressed me.
this was, I mean, it's just that unmistakable vocal for one thing, and, you know, I still think Rod Stewart is, like, one of the most underrated, wittiest lyricists there is as well. Like, the title track is just a fantastic satirical story about a kid, you know, leaving home and trying to find his way, and ultimately he, you know, settles down for love, but he's actually referring to his love in very offensive terms.
Oh boy. And his band really, like, rocks out on this album.
His band is fantastic. I mean, he never had a bad musician in his band, I don't think. So, like, a stunning album, and just, you know, I grew up listening to it. Definitely shaped me big time. So, thank you, Rod.
All right, for my number 6, I go from a band heavily indebted to Bruce Springsteen to Bruce Springsteen. And Born to Run, cliche pick, but I think just that's another of those flawless albums.
Big time,
like,
his best album, yeah.
It's like Born to Run, Thunder Road, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, Jungle Land, maybe his best song ever.
My favorite Bruce Springsteen song by far, yeah.
Yeah, and just all the musicians. He's got the E Street Band working at maximum efficiency. I think this is right after he gets Max Weinberg in the band.
Oh yeah, great.
And just like he's got the horns section. He's got just every song is like so well put together and like so terrific. Even like the B or C, even like the deepest cuts like Night. Like he brings that out, he brought that out live when I saw him. And I was like, what? It's like, oh, this is this song, and it's like, wow, this is like fantastic. This still sounds great, and this is maybe like the 6th best song out of 8 on the album.
He's definitely like topping my bucket list by now of artists to see. And it took me a while to come around to appreciate Bruce, but like, you know, once I do, like every song is like a masterwork. You know, certainly just like whether you like it or not, like it's such high quality.
Yeah.
Completely the same artist.
Yep.
How's the Holy by Led Zeppelin. So, John, when you were saying earlier that I might put Jamaica on... this is the album with Jamaica on it, I'm sorry. And it's not necessarily my favorite of the songs, but I think just, like, if I'm going to pick a Led Zeppelin album to listen to, it's this one. It's got Song Remains the Same, it's got No Quarter, it's got Over the Hills and Far Away, one of my favorites of theirs ever. Just, like, it's just such... It's a bit of a departure from, like, the super hard rock stuff of, like, 1 and 2 and 4 even. But it's just, you know, really, really, you know, probably the most genre fluid of their albums. And then it was going to be this one or 3. They were neck and neck. This one or Led Zeppelin 3. I'm Led Zeppelin 3 and you're the Holy.
The Holy.
I obviously in a slightly disturbing, unforgettable cover image of the kid climbing up the stairs and the kids climbing up the stairs and being like, where are we going?
Is that the one with the weird mermaids?
No, this is the one with like the weird babies like climbing up the stairs. I think they're babies, certainly children. I'll show you later.
Okay.
You'll know when you see it. Go on.
All right, my number 5. 2 of my remaining ones have already been on Mia's list. My number 5 is Moving Pictures by Rush, which again,
good choice.
not the very first album I heard of theirs is 2112, which is also
Stunning
great,
album.
but not everything else on it that isn't the song 2112 doesn't quite live up to the rest of it. Moving Pictures just so great all the way through, perfect, nearly flawless album. They've started experimenting with synthstat a little bit to their sound, but they haven't been like taken over by them. Still got like killer things. Red Barchetta is maybe my favorite Rush song. Just great album.
Same. Yeah. Just literally metal because of how solid it is. Straight through. All right, number 4. I guess technically a repeat. Not really though. Rust Never Sleeps by Neil Young. Certainly my favorite Young album. All sorts of good, masterful songwriting on
Great
there.
thoughts on the welfare system.
Oh boy. Great thoughts on the welfare system. Great thoughts on sedans. Great thoughts
Llamas.
on... great thoughts on Hayes and... The words hey and my. Great thoughts on...
That's a great album. That's one of the greatest, like, all times kind of ways to structure an album where it's got the half acoustic and the half electric
like, it's a
side.
really, really interesting album in itself. And then, you know, you open and close with, you know, essentially the same song, but one's, you know, electric powered and one's acoustic and intimate.
Yeah.
And both are great, so it's a hard call. Which one is better? I think I ultimately put the electric on my top 100, but it really could have been the acoustic. It's hard to say.
All right, my number 4 by a perennial John favorite is Love Iron Song by Frank Turner.
Perennial John favorite.
Yep,
That's how it's listed.
he should put that on his albums. Perennial John favorite.
It's a seal of approval.
Yeah, it's got like I don't know, my face or something.
It's got like the top of
maybe
your face,
a knife.
like your
and so yeah, this is just he is an amazing songwriter. He's an amazing lyricist. And this album, he's got some kind of good arrangements going with it. This is just like another of these nonstop parades of like all of the fan favorites, or like at least like a good chunk of them.
Yeah, like I think like Tape
album.
Deck Card is what I favor, but like that's such a close second and undeniably a great album. Yeah. Of course, now I'm picturing like perennial plants. You go to the hardware store, you find a bunch of little Frank Turners sprouting out of the pot.
Amy.
They're Venus flytraps, actually. Hot Amy! Sorry, Alright, okay, now we're gonna get to the perennial Mias. This is gonna be the section that shocks no one.
Black holes?
Correct! You're gonna guess them all the way? Okay, you're gonna guess them all. Yeah, black holes. We started talking about this. I'm just gonna add one or two things. Certainly, like, a premier, like, album of vocals, for sure. Certainly, like, I first discovered the song, like, Riding on the Train, album, Riding on the Train, like, the long train to college, and I'm just, it was like, oh, I randomly remember someone suggesting this, and I'm like, what is this, what is this, who is this person, how can I do that, and yeah, again, like, somewhere between the very, like, mopiness of, like, showbiz, and I think even by Origin of Symmetry they were most mopey, but that's still not quite my favorite. It's like this, and then the Resistance and Absolution, but stunning stuff, stunning songwriting, I think some of their best lyrics. Sometimes their lyrics are terrible, not here. And Chris Wolstenholme also definitely shines on the bass, so good stuff.
Yeah, great drumming by Dom Howard.
Yeah, like everyone on that album is like at their best, I think. So yeah.
All right, can you guess my number 3?
Songs for the Deaf?
No. Lonesome Crowded West by Modest Mouse.
Oh, yeah.
So this was another very hard call between those. Lonesome Crowded West is just kind of their magnum opus in my mind. It's like this wild, sprawling, like full CD length, 80-minute album.
It certainly starts off by scaring the crap out of you with the
got,
first sounds of teeth.
Starts yelping in, Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine. From the start, it's like, all right, we're going to like keep listening to this, or you're going to like maybe hit eject. And it's just got a lot of their like
which is it gonna be? Yeah.
Weird songs. It's kind of ties together conceptually as this like concept about like urban sprawl and like the like prairies and mountains of the West kind of becoming like part of this like strip mall bland
Great
culture
lyrics.
or whatever. Great lyrics throughout, tons of their best songs. And just like I can listen through it all the way through, because even kind of like the terrible filler songs sound like distinctive and fit in with the album and kind of fit the mood of the album.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like back on Odelay, like number 18, there are certainly some songs that are like, I don't really want to listen to this, but it's like, but also it works.
Yeah.
These are terrible, but they really work. Yeah. So yeah, good choice. All right, number 2.
Yep.
Number 2. Guess my number 2.
Okay, we still have. Okay, it's going to be News of the World.
No.
Who's next?
No, but you're getting there.
Odds
you're warmer.
and Sods.
Tommy by the Who.
Tommy, right.
Because this is always going to be my favorite Who album. Yeah, there you go. Because not only does it have some really like interesting musicianship and like one of my favorite sounds of the Who, just like this really stark, instrumental content. It really made me rethink what an album was, because this one also tells like a really interesting story. And just, and how kind of paralleled my childhood really unhappily. So it really spoke to me there. But it was also just like...
To this day, Mia refuses to go near a pinball machine.
Or a mirror. Neither of those. They're out of bounds.
What if the pinball machine is the mirror?
Then I'm staying away from... Well, I was already staying away from the pinball machine. What does that change?
Nothing. It means no.
But yeah, just like a complete shift in definition of what an album was, just astonishing stuff. So.
Was it the first like concept album that you heard?
It was the first concept album I heard, and I think like Quadrophenia came shortly after. That's probably like a better album, but like I don't like it as much. Do you know what I mean? I don't like the story nearly as much.
Instrumentally, it might be better. Probably.
Exactly. Yeah, but like the storytelling isn't quite as rich, and then you've just got a whole world building system within an album. It's really really fantastic.
All right, my number 2 is indeed Songs for the Deaf. Just so great all the way through. I think my all-time favorite drumming album, like just to listen or to drum along to, like as a teenager when I got like a drum kit at home, like those songs and the Them Crooked Vultures songs, like a lot of that Dave Grohl drumming is kind of like what I like aspired to as like kind of the like this is like a killer drummer. And then the guitar is great. Like, just everything about it is great.
I definitely remember being stunned by, like, the sheer amount of riffs coming through this guy.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
It just starts with Millionaire.
right away. I guess technically it starts with the real song for the deaf, which is this weird ambient thing, but let's not talk about that. On my version, it starts with Millionaire, because I just didn't download that.
Yep. Alright, now we got News of the World.
Now we got News of the World. I know you're all shocked Queen topped my list. Yeah, absolutely stop. And I will say, like, this album, I think this was kind of between the point where they were going full fop with John's favorite album ever, A Day at the Races, and then, you know, going into kind of like a more hard rock style of John's actual favorite jazz. And it was that transition period of just, you know, okay, we're gonna get earthy for a bit, we're gonna just write, you know, straightforward songs, but still have some interesting things going on in them. And obviously, you know, House is my favorite song of all time, It's Late, the near closer. And so it's just, what a creative band. Just, you know, we were talking about this earlier of, like, listening to Weaker Than's album, they were good albums, but, you know, eventually kind of Soul was coming next, so, like, ding, 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 it's like, here's the formula. You don't really get that with any Queen album, but especially not this one. So it's like, oh, what do you say? Oh, it's that guitar harmony again.
Oh, he's speaking a made-up language again.
Oh, dang it, there's the piano, always the same piano. Oh,
they put weird samples from all the other songs on the album in this song. They
you're
definitely
talking about the
keep
next
you guessing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right, and yeah, so your verse must be Stop Making Sense.
Yes, so for normally we excluded our live albums from this. I guess Rust Never Sleeps is technically live, but that's all material that doesn't appear anywhere else.
Exactly.
Because it's kind of like Midnight Oil, if I really picked an album of theirs, it would be Screamin' Blue, their live album, which is just fantastic. But then I'd basically be picking it as a greatest hits album.
Because it's like
10% better versions of all their greatest songs. But Stop Making Sense, I think, is distinct enough that I can put it on here. And this was the first CD I ever had. I got it for like Easter when I was 13 or 14, back when I had a CD player. And I was just like, ooh, the song title's like Psycho Killer Burning Down the House. That sounds so cool. Violence. Yeah, I borrowed Little Creature from a friend and
ooh, and she was violence.
Yeah, not so much. That was more just like, hey, it's sitting there on the CD case. Why don't I borrow this?
Yes, exactly.
But this is just like every song a lot of them are just like, they're all either like a more energized, like, better version of the studio song, or just except that one, except Chris France with his cocaine.
He is the #1 album creator, y'all. So check it out. Sha!
Or some of them they just completely reimagine the songs and
like Psycho Killer itself.
And Psycho Killer, or
Take Me to the River.
Like Slippery People, they make so much bigger.
Yeah.
Like it's just such great versions of such great songs all on like one CD.
Fabulous stuff. And fabulous movie, too.
We just watched it for the first time.
Great stuff.
And now if Mia ever misbehaves, I'm going to Chris France her during our shows. Start singing a Lemon Knife song, Mia.
There was a time before we launched the ships and waved the world goodbye.
Sure did!
We thought we'd... All right, I'm not even continuing.
We'll see you next time.
Good night!